can you thrive in business with balance? I'm Kate Save. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. In this episode, we meet a prominent entrepreneur and author, best known for founding RedBalloon and her role as a shark on Shark Tank Australia. With over 3 decades of experience, Naomi inspires others through her dynamic leadership, best-selling books, and commitment to innovation and philanthropy. Welcome, Naomi Simson. So great to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
I have followed your journey for many, many years, and I think from the moment that I picked up your first book, Ready to Soar, was that the first book?
Yeah.
I just fell in love with your journey and how you got to where you were, and I would love to know more. Tell me, where did it all start?
I guess if I think about something my mother told me when I was a young girl, she said, "You've been given the gift of the gab. You can use it for good or for evil." And that stayed with me. She might have thought I was a little evil as a teenager, but it kind of stayed with me. And I had these really, really strong role models. She worked in computing her whole career. She worked for an incredible entrepreneur, a woman by the name of Lindsay Catamol. And so I had these incredible people around me. And so once I left my corporate career, and I worked for some very big brands and big companies in marketing, but when I had the gorgeous offspring, I wondered if I could do it myself and then have a little bit of a lifestyle. Yeah. That didn't work quite as well as I wanted, you know.
It's a fantasy, isn't it?
It is a fantasy, you know, when I'm saying, oh, look, I can play with the kids in the day and work at night, but the kids were going to bed at 5:30 and they got a little sick of that. So I guess starting my own show, but as soon as people were asking how it was done, and I didn't realise how unique a circumstance it was. So I had been a freelancer and I would create marketing plans when I left corporate life, and there'd be 47 action items, but nobody wanted to do 47 action items.
Yes, true.
They just wanted the brochure and the direct mail.
Yeah.
So I wondered, but to build a brand is to create a story.
Yes.
And creating that story takes consistency, it takes persistence, but it also takes money. And so I wondered if I could flip the model and instead of asking, you know, a small business to pay for a marketing plan and creating their brand, what if I created a brand for an industry?
A
whole industry. And then just send customers, because they will pay for customers. Yes. So just a clip of the ticket, and then small business doesn't have to pay anything unless they've got a customer.
That is
so that was the model.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise that was the innovation.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were trailblazers really when it came to marketplaces. I had no idea. It just made sense to me.
And so this is the founding of RedBalloon, which is now known as the best gifting experience, certainly in Australia. I don't know if you've gone global yet, but you should be, because the number of experiences you offer, it's many thousands, is that right?
Yeah.
And
I haven't done them all. That's a lot.
Well, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I've done a few of them, and I love the impact that it's had on the community as well. And you hear the stories about the guy with the 1 balloon, and now he's got 19 balloons because of your business. So you've helped shape other people's businesses and their journeys through creating a brand that people want to be associated with. So tell me, how did that progress over time? How did that scale up?
Well, they're world experts at whatever we do. And when you're talking about Matt, and he is a world champion hot air balloonist.
Right.
But that does not make him a world champion business owner or marketer. So I guess any business owner needs to think about what is their superpower.
Yes.
What makes their business special, and what is it that they can get from elsewhere? Whether that be outsourcing, team members, or finding a place in a community. And really, RedBalloon became a community of small businesses. And as we like to say, you just be the world's best at that experience, deliver incredible experiences, and we will do the rest for you. And now we even provide to these small businesses our platform, so they can book direct using absolute state-of-the-art technology because it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, staying at the leading edge is really, really hard.
And it costs a fortune, so if that cost can be split amongst businesses,
they're
why
spending
not?
so much money. And again, if it's the, you know, a small kind of hosting fee, but it's just a clip of the ticket.
So
and then
good.
they're going, well, if my business goes down, well, that's okay because I haven't got these fixed costs. So understanding and living in the shoes of small business has been really what has driven the success of our business, because without great experiences and without commercially vibrant community, then we won't have an industry. And that was the real challenges in COVID, was keeping our community financially safe.
Yeah, that would have been a huge challenge. And I know RedBalloon's had a few evolutions and it certainly had its challenges along the way. What was the hardest challenge for you?
Well, it's so funny because everybody thinks that life is linear, and life is not linear.
No.
Look, we grew massively, but then in 2011, I stepped aside as the CEO and stepped out of the business into a non-executive role, and we put in a CEO from another industry. And that didn't work.
That's interesting because people always think that is the solution, that the problem is you, and then you step out and it doesn't work.
Yeah, he just came from a different understanding of different cost bases. And when I saw that our cost base for the team members had gone up by 30% in a year, and he also started saying we were going to make a loss, we had to do something different.
Gosh.
And that was an unbelievably challenging time, because I've built this brand, I've built this reputation. I think I was on air with Shark Tank at the time.
And it's your baby, it's yours.
Well, I try not to think of it as my baby, but it has been a lot of my toil and my contribution, and so it was really, really challenging. But I feel really fortunate because a friend of mine who I'd known through a business organisation, so we knew each other as business colleagues, came back to Australia. And he was saying, but Gnomes, it's such a good business. I don't understand. I said, I don't either. It's never made a loss. We can't have that. And so David said to me, he goes, I actually think there's a bigger agenda here, because all of the small businesses are facing the same thing.
Right.
So he said, look, you know, a business turning over 20 or 30 million is not getting growth, so they can't get capital investment. So maybe we should roll up the industry.
Right.
And that's when we created Big Red Group. And we said, if we have one platform, we can deploy it to all sorts of different areas, including the small businesses, but also to wholesalers, or like we run the Virgin Australia Experiences website. So, you know, we have many. So we rolled up the Australian industry. We've had a good go at the New Zealand industry, and yes, we're going offshore.
I love their adrenaline there.
Yes. So Adrenaline is a beautiful brand. So they're all sitting on the one platform now, and that allows us to scale, but also be state of the art.
That makes perfect sense. Now, back to you. And so you have a family, and through this journey, through these ups and downs, how did you stay on top of everything? Because that's what mothers are supposed to do.
Well, I think I might have given up a few things. My daughter once asked me where the iron was. I said, I'm sure we've got one.
Yeah.
Just don't know where it is. You know, again, it's kind of the same thing. What value do I really add to my children? And that's about connection, it's about love, it's reading stories, it's about creating the values and them to be able to discover where they belong, how they fit. And people would ask me, or people say, I just want my kids to be happy. And I go, happiness is one of 23 emotions. It comes and it goes. And without contrast, you actually don't know what happiness is. So I wanted my children to be resilient, responsible, and respectful. And so when you have also a framework of what your intention is, that also allows you, well, you say, where am I adding value in this? And so I was I worked from home for years, which was great. I was fortunate to have a nanny housekeeper who also looked after me a little bit. But, you know, the kids were incredibly responsible. And, you know, I had them going to school on the bus. I do remember trying to drop my son off. 3 times on pupil-free days. I'm like, let him in, I've got work to do. But they're beautiful, and they're way adults now, and they're contributing members of society, and they've got big jobs. One ended up a mathematician, and the other one a farmer who finished his business degree in agriculture and now works for the NAB. So they're contributing members of society, and that's all we can expect as parents.
Well, I think that role modelling though is really, really critical, and particularly in this day and age where I guess the world has certainly changed, and you would have seen that evolution through your business and through employing people. And when you are employing people and looking for people to be on your team, what are you looking for in this younger generation, and what would I guess a successful employee look like to you? What skills do they need? What life experience?
Look, I don't think it's skills, because you can learn skills, but you can't change who somebody is. So I'm always looking for values. I'm always looking for how they treat other people. Are they kind?
Yes.
Like just fundamentally kind?
Yes.
And are they considerate? And do they see people? And do they understand? And so I think we recruit on values. It's the most important thing. I also think our role as an employer is to challenge people to greatness and to be challenging, because that's where they grow.
Be challenging. I love that.
Ask tough questions. Yeah. We're not running a kindergarten. And people do say, and past employees say, it was the best years of my life. I learnt so much. And they might not have loved it all the time in the time, but it's pretty special, because we see you, we challenge you, you know, and I think that's important.
And that's where the growth comes from, is from the learning. Now, what is your proudest moment? If you reflect back on your incredible journey and your career, the big ups and downs, what are you most proud of?
It's funny, that's not an emotion I really kind of consider. I feel more grateful than proud. Yeah. I'm grateful that people saw and believed in our purpose of changing gifting in Australia, that people have really got behind the Big Red Group, and that we get to fill on our BHAG of serving an experience every second. And when we started, it was 2.5 minutes, and we're down to kind of about 20 seconds, you know. So this is material growth, and these are the things that drive us. So I guess, actually, I think what makes me the proudest is when, like, it just happened to me just this morning when a woman came up to me and she said, "My 10-year-old son adores you." Oh. I was like, oh my goodness. You know, Shark Tank, we were on air 10 years ago. We've been off air for I don't know how long, but he still watches the program, and I don't know how many kids I've inspired to consider a commercial career. Yeah. And I think that, and just even knowing that I'm still relevant is a beautiful thing. And it's a family show, you know, everybody can watch it together, and everyone's got an opinion. And so I was a no when they asked me to do that show. Why would I do a reality TV show? Oh, I could make a fool of myself. It's very easy for me to do that. And it was one of my mentors. We were having a coffee, Carol Schwartz, here in Melbourne, and she said, "Tell me about the show." And I said, "Well, you know, we invest in people, we mentor them." And she said, "So you're going to say no? Oh, that's a bit stingy. I didn't think that of you. You could influence 1 million people." And what I didn't understand is, our Shark Tank channel has 6 million followers. Wow. They're still producing the content out of what we produce. Fantastic. And all of those young people.
So we are obviously so grateful that you did that, because we all got to watch and benefit from the insights that you gave us into other people's business. So thank you so much for coming here today. And this is Ticker. We will be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.